hosted by Zephyr Zero, presented by Realm of the Mist Entertainment.
Hello, citizens of the realm, and welcome yet again to another episode of Press A Gaming Podcast. Today I am joined, as always, by Wild High 77.
That's all I got to say.
Mr. AKA.
Oh, what's up, guys? It's Anthony Anthem, AKA Mr. AKA.
And for the first time ever on Press A Gaming Podcast, we are joined today by Anvil.
The all-consuming flame of gluttony.
Oh, yeah.
God, he has a title already. Damn. All right, so
I love the steering wheel perspective.
That may or may not make it into the final video. Apparently, we are kind of screwing our YouTube algorithm by not having video. Because, like, if you just have a still image, apparently the YouTube algorithm just, like, dumps it to the bottom.
I think we have Anthony here. We've been screwing the YouTube algorithm forever, but we have Anthony, so we have diversity.
Fuck. I'm getting stuck on you today, sir.
Man. On that note, today we are continuing the genre breakdown series as we already completed horror. That was our first episode, and then we also did fighting games. I think was the last one we did.
Yeah, brawler fighters. We kind of mixed brawlers in there a little bit.
I guess we're going to keep the combo going by starting with another F.
Oh, he said combo. I see what he did there.
And this time today we are going full in for the first-person shooters. Everybody's favorite genre.
I don't know. I like the action adventure better, but first person shooters are pretty good.
Nah,
I mean, when you pair it nicely with a little bit of RPG, it's just sublime. Looking at you, Borderlands and Fallout.
Yes.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Okay, Anthony Anthem wants to know, how are we going to execute this wonderful episode?
Probably the same way as we always do. We just start naming games, and the rest of the panel turns around and says, "Yay, we like it," or "Boo, it's garbage."
Well, we have a bit different, more of a structure for the genre breakdowns we seem to go. Usually we start off by trying to define what is a first-person shooter. Or, because like what we did with the horror games and the fighting episodes, we tried to define, what is this game genre? Like, what qualifies and what doesn't. Like, we eliminated a whole bunch of fighters or other games from the fighting game list because they just weren't quite a fighting game. They didn't meet our criteria last episode.
So, do we count battle royals in this episode?
Let's start. Honestly, it's going to be a little easier to define a first-person what qualifies as a first-person shooter in this episode because it's in the name, first person. So automatically, games like Fortnite are eliminated because they're third person.
Right.
Apex Legends and Call of Duty and PUBG. No, wait a minute. PUBG, yeah, it can be first person.
Yeah, PUBG is first person for the most part. If, as I recall, you switch out of first person to do some of the building stuff.
Well, no, Anthony brings up a good point because I personally wouldn't put a battle royal game first person or not, like Apex or PUBG, into the first person shooter genre because I would think like first off campaign. But then again, that would eliminate things like Titanfall 1 or Battlefront 1, and I wouldn't classify.
It's hard. Okay.
See, I would agree that the Battle Royale games, first person or not, shouldn't be considered a first person shooter simply because they qualify into a different genre.
Well, that's where I was going with that too, is because even though some games have like a one death mechanic to their multiplayer, i.e., like search and destroy, I still don't think that necessarily qualifies as an FPS. Personally, I mean that's the panel to decide, but that's.
I would argue that genre in and of itself, but more of a first-person shooter game type.
I would disagree because there's a lot of Royale games that are third person.
Fair point, but that still doesn't change the fact that it's a game type. Whether or not it's a first-person or third-person shooter, and honestly, we can probably just blanket cover shooters in this episode as opposed to specifically stating with first person. It's just everybody likes to point out first-person shooter as the genre.
Well, see, I'll agree with that, but I think the limitations should still be just like, I may be a Fallout fan, but I don't think Fallout should be really discussed in this episode because Fallout's, at its base is an RPG.
True.
I would agree with that 100%.
100%.
Well,
I 100% agree with that.
It's more RPG than
I don't agree with that at all.
It's same reason I wouldn't try and lump Borderlands in for here, because it's also very.
Yeah,
Borderlands is tricky.
Borderlands more concentrates on the battle mechanics of a first-person shooter than it does on the game mechanics of an RPG.
I agree. I think Borderlands is more first person than RPG.
I think it's a first-person shooter with RPG elements, where Fallout is an RPG with first-person shooter elements.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Personal opinion.
That's one of those things where it's just a catch-22 on that one, because what do we do about the shooters that have like multiple genres in one?
So
What's the thing about BioShock?
I'm gonna start naming ones off. We're gonna try and see where on the spectrum we can place it. Where Destiny? Where would you place Destiny?
Oh, Destiny's
as far
a straight RPG.
as far as the
straight shooter.
RPG.
I don't know, 'cause Destiny is like a third person.
It's story driven, but it's definitely an FPS.
Yeah. Very first person. I think Destiny is sort of where first person. Destiny and Warframe both are kind of where the first person shooter sort of hit the multi MMO first person shooter world. I think that's where it really was heavily born.
The Gun Gale Online inspiration.
Well, that in effect of Destiny was created because Bungie, lost their rights to or sold their rights to Halo.
Well, no. Destiny was created because there was like a big portion of the Bungie offices that wanted to work on Destiny as their pet project. They had a great idea that they wanted to do for a game, and they wanted to do it. And then there was another half of them that were like, but we like working on Halo. And so Bungie was like, all right, we're going to go work on this game, and we're going to sell the rights to Halo to the rest of our studio that's going to go off and make their own studio, and they made 343 Industries and took over Halo. Because there was this schism in the Bungie offices where like half of them were like, we don't want to do Halo anymore. We don't think that's the entirety of what our existence is going to be, and the rest of them were like, but we like Halo, we want to continue working on Halo, and thus 343 Industries was born.
All right, well let me ask you this, since getting back on the topic of shooters, if we're going to broaden beyond first person and we're going to add in third persons and stuff like that, which means it opens up the things to like Lost Planet and Gears of War.
Good choice. I like Lost Planet.
Dead Space? Does Dead Space count?
Oh,
Definitely count.
I definitely think that counts too. But here's a question: what about the side scroller shooters of back in the day?
Oh, that's a good
fucking Contra.
Contra, Duke,
Contra, or
the original Duke
Metroid.
Nukem. Metroid. That was going to be my question. Where does Metroid fall?
I actually would solidly place stuff like Contra and Metroid in platformer territory, because while they do have guns as weapons and their shooter elements, it's no different than Mega Man or say Mario with a fire flower.
Mega Man is look. If we're saying platformers can be shooters, Mega Man's a shooter.
True. Or Astro Boy. But then again, if we're going to go that way, then Galaga would count. So,
Yeah,
well, no, Galaga was a spaceship taking on aliens, same as Space Invaders.
Galaga would be what I would call a top-down shooter.
yeah.
I would even put that under flight simulation.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's just arcade.
Top-down shooter would be stuff like Galaga, Asteroids,
1942.
Yeah, 1942.
Captain Hawk.
Well, actually, I was going to say Binding of Isaac, but that's more of a bullet hell.
How about the first Metal Gear Solid?
The first Metal Gear Solid?
All the Metal Gears were stealth games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem with the whole Metal Gear series is that it's its own genre. Like,
I'd say
that was
I disagree.
That was the whole thing with the tagline on the game for Metal Gear Solid: tactical espionage action. Like Hideo Kojima invented his own genre for those games.
I don't know.
I would disagree. The early ones were definitely stealth games, whereas the newer ones have geared a lot more towards the first-person shooter. I guess third-person shooter, but still.
See, I would disagree from a different angle about it being its own territory, because I would almost throw like the ultimate purpose of Metal Gear Solid is to never, or Metal Gear in general, going all the way back to the 8-bit Nintendo's Metal Gear, or Snake's Revenge. The whole entire purpose was to never get into a fight.
Yeah.
Ultimate stealth. Well, there's another game out there that was made like that. It was called fucking Abe's Odyssey. Oddworld.
Ooh.
Yep.
Well,
There was a couple games like that. And that's where I'd say like it's definitely a stealth game, at least at the beginning. But like Metal Gear Solid 5, it was very much first-person shooter or third-person shooter.
Yes.
And it's sort of geared away from that stealth a little bit.
Well, the stealth element was still very much there. It's just
But it was very optional.
It was the trade-off for having it in a more open world. Is you had to utilize your weapons a little bit more to be able to. When both you and your enemy has like free reign of all this open area, and plus stealing away your enemies with a balloon was fucking fantastic.
I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of my favorite part of the whole game. I captured everyone all the time. I only used non-lethal and captured everybody.
Enemy base has been captured. Yeah, because I frickin' bolted every single one of these assholes out.
But you know what? We never answered Anthony either. Anthony brought up a very good one, and where it would fall under category BioShock.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
That has multiple elements. I mean, I would still classify it as a first-person shooter,
shooter.
But it does have horror and RPG elements.
But you spend the BioShock.
Oh, BioShock? It cut out for a minute. I missed what he said. Yeah, I
would definitely qualify BioShock as a first-person shooter. one of the big things we're going to run into in this genre breakdown as we go further and further is there's going to be games that are in multiple episodes because they qualify for multiple genres, because that's what a lot of game developers have been doing as gaming technology gets more improved, is they've been melding the genres to create new things.
Right. I would definitely say BioShock would, I don't know, because it has a lot of different components. That one's sort of an overlapper. It's definitely a first-person shooter, but it's also, like they said, it's a horror game, and it's a
RPG style almost.
Definitely an RPG sort of feel to it.
I don't know. The BioShock didn't have like leveling or anything. You could get the different plasmids, but
and you could level the plasmids by buying the upgrades. I think that's where the RPG element comes in. Plus, there was a lot of strategy, which, let's be fair, in most shooters, most of them are just
spray and pray.
Spray and pray. And if you ever want an example of that, I remember a game from the PlayStation called One.
Yes.
The more you got hurt, you got hit, the stronger you became.
Oh, jeez.
So, kid, after a good night on the first of the month.
There's some first-person shooter game that came out for Steam. I think it came out via Steam Greenlight. And what the premise was is you ran around the map and you could shoot different parts of your opponent's body. And the more you shot that part of your opponent's body, the smaller it got, and then your corresponding body part got bigger. And it would change your abilities based on the size of your body parts.
Oh, well, I know where people aim.
I was about to say, yeah.
Most, because once you had giant legs, you could, like, jump for days.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the third leg.
Call me Mr. Tripod. I'm the fastest man on 3 legs.
I mean, at that point, it's just a glorified kickstand.
It's like a baby holding an apple.
What are you talking about? That's a sword. It's a skin sword.
It's really the wonderful one-eyed worm.
Not to take the conversation away from the trouser snakes. To loop back earlier, so if we're going to say that the original Metroid was a platformer, will we still consider Metroid Prime a shooter?
Ooh, I would actually definitely consider Metroid Prime a first-person shooter, because like that was the entirety of that game. Like it was
still had an RPG element though with its like scan and
but it was
data collection.
It was marketed on the Nintendo DS as a first-person shooter.
DS Prime started on Cube.
Yes,
yeah.
When they re-released it onto the DS,
they did.
Oh yeah, you had the multiplayer function too.
That was marketed as a first-person shooter.
But man, there were so many balls.
But
and we're back to Willy the Wonderful One-Eyed Worm.
I was talking about the fact that you turned into a ball. Yeah.
Hey, look, we all lost our minds the first time playing through Metroid, the first original Metroid, and you beat Mother Brain. And your reward is to find out that this badass, kick-ass hero that you just kicked Space Pirate's ass with was a chick in a bikini.
Right?
Well, I mean, I wasn't upset.
No, I wasn't upset either.
I used a lot of lotion that week.
I don't think anybody was upset. There was a lot of things that we felt, but upset was not one of them.
Somebody's mom was like, man, why are all these socks so stiff?
Oh, dude.
They could walk by themselves. Well, we are.
It's like a dinner plate.
We are talking about.
Yeah. Oh, not that kind of shooting.
Hand-eye coordination, baby.
Ready, aim, fire. You know what? In the first person shooter genre, why has there never been an execution squad scene?
That is a valid. No, there was.
Yeah.
Call of Juarez.
Where?
Call of Juarez.
Never played it.
Call of what?
Call of Juarez Bound in Blood was kind of popular in 2010, 2011. I used to play an ungodly amount of it, like unholy.
And it wasn't really an execution by firing squad, in the traditional sense, but
it was.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare, had.
Oh gosh,
or actually, I think it was Modern Warfare 2.
It was Modern Warfare 2 with the
had the super controversial level, no Russian.
The airport scene, yeah.
Yep.
that scene was brutal.
That scene was fun. I'm so glad I was able to play it before they decided, no, you have this in there.
That was for the eventual, I think, Call of Duty.
What the hell? Guys, apologize. I don't know why, but Skype just closed on me. I will get back into the chat. Bear with me. That was fucking stupid. Why did Skype do that? Come on, load. Load. Call, joining. Join the call, join the call. I said join the fucking call. Load. There we go. And we're back, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know why Skype decided to close itself.
Grand Theft Auto, that torture scene. Grand Theft Auto 4. Trevor.
Oh yeah, Trevor. That's 5. Grand Theft Auto 5.
Grand Theft Auto 5. What's the one you're talking about?
I fell out of Grand Theft Auto. I fell out of Grand Theft Auto after fucking Vice City.
Actually, I would qualify. I would qualify Grand Theft Auto as solely a sandbox game.
I would agree with that. I would not consider it really a shooter.
Oh no, it's not a shooter.
It's a sandbox. It's a sandbox game with shooting elements.
It's a free roam.
How about I got one for you guys. It's an old PC game. How about fucking Syndicate?
Syndicate was pretty good.
I am actually not familiar with Syndicate.
It was re-released as a first-person shooter on Xbox 360. But the original PC game, you were a group of 4 cyborgs that were sent to the corporation to handle rival corporations by any means necessary.
Okay. What are some of our favorite first-person shooters that come to mind?
Well, first
Metro. Yeah, Metro's pretty cool. I remember watching you play that a lot.
BioShock.
Yeah.
BioShock 1 and 2, not the third one. Not Infinite.
I liked BioShock Infinite.
It felt out of place.
I liked that in Infinite you finally had, a extra character that actually did something. Like, you had that side character that's normally useless, but it something for you. You know, she'd give you ammo and health when you needed it. And I thought
Elizabeth
that
was useful.
fantastic.
She wasn't like Donald Duck.
She wasn't, you know, heavy. Which was after you.
Let's see. What would I cry? You know, I would probably have to qualify my favorite first-person shooter as Halo, hands down. Just any game in the Halo series.
Yeah.
Reach, I'll agree with. I'm not so much as a Halo hater. I don't hate Halo, but Halo is like under the same genre as Call of Duty right now, which is just it's overplayed, oversaturated.
If a favorite first shooter game completely out of like all of the Halo games, I would probably have to pick Halo 3 ODST.
Over.
You cut out, Chris.
You would choose ODST over Reach.
I only caught about half of that.
You would choose.
You pick ODST over Reach?
ODST over Reach? Yeah, I'd still have to go with ODST over Reach.
That's a crime punishable by death in some countries.
What? ODST was freaking good.
Reach was better.
I agree with him, man. Reach was definitely better than ODST.
I'm gonna have to agree with that too. And I stopped playing after Reach.
I think Reach. It was depressing. Reach was.
You know what really? So that being last level of Reach really bothered the hell out of me. I played that last level for so fucking long for it to kill me and then tell me that was how it was supposed to end. I was like, what the fuck do you mean that was how it was supposed to end? I could have ended that half an hour ago.
He was feeling all high and mighty person when it finally dropped.
the last level of Reach is probably the reason that ODST is my favorite and not Reach, because I survived for so goddamn long. Because I thought that there was going to be a thing like, oh yeah, you survived and escaped, or like the objective was just survive. So that's what I fucking did.
I kept waiting for something to show up and help, and I kept waiting, and it was so anxiety-driven because it was just like constant battle, and I was just constantly, it was just so butt-puckery, and then at the end, I died, and they said, that's how it ends. I was like, what do you mean?
Wave after fucking wave, and just like, when I finally got the crack, that's when I realized out of this alive.
But that was part of the fun of Halo Reach was, you know, in a sense, it was kind of like Halo's Empire Strikes Back. You can win.
And I did like that. I liked that. I just wish that I'd have known going in.
Yeah, that's definitely not something. That's definitely not something you spring on somebody when they're expecting just your run-of-the-mill first-person shooter.
Right.
Because like everybody walks into a first-person shooter with the mentality of I figured I'd try shooting my way out, see how that goes.
I did like that in Reach. It was very much you're OP, you're not invincible, and that's sort of what you got at the end was you're not invincible.
Oh no, the only invincible Spartan for some reason is Master Chief. Because how many times has he died and come back?
That's not. Well, he's not
5 and
invincible.
counting.
He's a zombie.
5 and count. It's gonna be like a competition between him, Freddy Krueger, and Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Every single one of those assholes loses the competition because Doom Guy exists.
I was gonna say that's valid. I mean, like, let's look at the beginning.
It's part of his lore.
There's so many things I want to say.
As long as humans exist, so shall I.
I just died a little inside. Thanks, guys.
Why?
I mean, if we're talking about characters dying and coming back, like that's part of Doom Guy's lore. Like, his whole thing is he dies and comes back endlessly.
Yeah, but his reason isn't because of sales. His reason, as they describe it, is he's just too pissed off to die.
Yeah, and so long as there are demons for me to kill, I will be there.
But
let's be honest. Let's be honest. The Doom Guy doesn't revive because he's too pissed off to die. Doom Guy revives because he's Link.
No, let's be fair. Doom Guy revives because he's the only one that can save the SPS's job.
No. Doom Guy is the hero of time. He's just Link in the future.
No. All right. So that being said, Keith, next week when we're doing the RPG one, remind me to bring up the Link points, the coming back from the dead Link point. But here's a question for you. Which one would you say was better, Doom or Quake?
Quake.
Blood.
Fudge.
Blood. The end. No, Doom all day. Doom over Quake all day.
Yeah, I'd have to say Doom. Doom had the BFG.
Wow.
I'm going to be the odd man out there. I liked Quake more than the original Doom. I liked the new Doom a lot, but I liked the original Quake over the original Doom.
Not to mention you can run the original Doom on anything.
Huh.
I mean, that used to be high quality technology back in the day, y'all.
Hey, I give Quake its credit though. You know, the ammo box is having the 9 Inch Nails sticker on it.
Yeah.
There's a little Easter egg for people who are into music. But no, Doom. Well, let's put it this way: Doom Guy is adult Link, then is child Link BJ Blazkowicz.
You know what? Go to your room, Chris.
No, I know who Kid Link is, and I mentioned him earlier, but we're gonna mention him again.
Michael Jackson.
Hail to the king, baby. Duke Nukem.
I can see that. I mean, like, Link does like his bombs.
Rip off your head, shit down your neck.
Do-do-do-do.
Come on, man. You gotta give some love to Duke. Became a first-person shooter.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. I love Duke Nukem and everything, but there's a scar that will never heal because of Duke Nukem forever.
And as in, we're gonna make you wait forever.
Oh, come on, Duke playing his own video game while getting a blowjob from the Olsen twins? Come on.
It took too long for that game to come out, and when that game came out, it was an absolute shit show.
It was not worth the wait.
Nope.
Not gonna lie.
That was like getting an edging blowjob, and you finally busted, but really you kind of just wanted sex.
Now, see, I would penguin over that analogy. You guys don't know what the penguin is. I'll explain. That's when a girl's going down on you, and she's going hot, and you're about to bust, and right when you're about to bust, she gets up and walks away, and you're following behind her. Wait, walking like a penguin.
Jesus.
It's terrible.
Oh, it's happened to you too.
Well, there goes my hope. There goes any hope I had ever had of Press A Gaming being family friendly.
At least this episode.
Yeah, now I'm just like, wait.
Oh man, Anvil, you kind of spoiled it there for everybody. Right before I even got to like the outro, telling everybody what the next week's episode's gonna be.
Oh, my bad. I just assumed everybody knew. That's my bad. That's my bad.
Well, sure, everybody in like Realm of the Mist knows, but you just spoiled it for all the fans there.
Oh,
I mean, they'll find it anyway, so.
All right. On that
we
note-
probably lost them on the penguin jokes anyway. But no.
On that
They know.
note-
They know. On that note, we got one more game we got to discuss. We have to discuss this. We were talking about it earlier. Titanfall.
I didn't even hear any of that.
Yeah.
Titanfall.
Titanfall?
Titanfall.
Okay, what? First person shooter, yeah?
Yeah.
Plus mech action.
I
Yeah.
want to talk about the dolphin.
Titanfall was fun.
That's amazing.
It was.
The story number two.
It definitely scratched my mech assault and armored core itch when there really wasn't anything good enough out there. I mean, granted, we had Armored Core 5, but that was kind of a huge disappointment.
What about
So here's my
Steel
question.
Battalion?
So would Titanfall fall under a mech game or a shooter?
Well,
It was a first-person shooter with some mech action added in
Okay.
because it was primarily first-person shooter.
there had to be a little bit of hard steel in there. That's what made it hard.
All right. Let's end it off with the true debate that everybody has always had with the first-person shooters, at least in realism of first-person shooters. Call of Duty versus Battlefield.
Ooh, Battlefield.
Every day of the week, baby. Well, hang on. I take that back. I liked the early Call of Duty's campaigns better than the Battlefield campaigns.
Well, true.
But if we're talking about multiplayer, Battlefield every day of the week.
I hated
my
the
gosh.
Battlefield multiplayer.
That
I absolutely
destructive
despised it.
I would say Battlefield, but Call of Duty World at War gets an honorable mention.
What about World War II?
Okay, World War II was nice. I actually loved World War II. Plus, I'm sorry,
Call of Duty games I'm still
zombies
playing.
always.
I mean, I don't think I ever got the chance to play the World War II. I played Call of Duty World at War way back in high school, and I kind of really haven't played very many of the Call of Duty or Battlefield games since then.
I did enjoy my time with Battlefield 4, but 5 and 1 were garbage. And the last decent Call of Duty game was World War II.
I would.
What year was World War II? What year did it come out? The game
that was last year's Call of Duty. No,
That was last.
It was right before Black Ops 4.
That's right. I'm thinking of the wrong World War game. Then. A Nazi zombie.
Yeah, Nazi Zombies was World at War.
Yeah, that was
Nazis.
the best. That was the best Call of Duty game, in my opinion.
World at War was fucking great. The campaign being split between the Pacific Theater and playing as a Russian dude taking Berlin was fucking great.
That one was pretty great.
Got plenty of time there, Zep. Let's throw a monkey wrench into this. Everybody always talks about Call of Duty and Battlefield as far as like premier war style FPSs, but everybody seems to forget Medal of Honor.
Oh yeah, Medal of Honor.
I liked Medal of Honor better than Call of Duty or Battlefield, hands down.
Ooh, man.
I wish that it was still around, honestly.
Oh, what is the last Medal of Honor game I played?
I say that. I liked Medal of Honor, and I'm sort of glad that they didn't beat that horse till it was so far past dead that it's a skeleton like Duty. Call of Duty.
Okay, so wait a question. Ghost Recon and any of the Rainbow Six games.
Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six.
I liked Ghost Recon, don't get me wrong, but Rainbow Six was definitely a better Spec Ops game.
True. Ooh, I got
All day, but you know what? The true challenge of first person shooters was the Tom Clancy games, just in general.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
like his books are dope, and then his freaking Like the storylines were awesome too. I ain't gonna sit here in front. I like Tom Clancy's storylines. It made it really fun to play his games. Because I was a Splinter Cell guy too. I love Splinter Cell.
But we can't forget the greatest first-person shooter ever.
What?
Gary's Mod.
Gary's what?
Gary's Mod.
I have never played Gary's Mod.
Oh, it totally counts. Gary's Mod is a sandbox first-person shooter, I guess, game builder based off of Half-Life and
we forgot about Half-Life.
all of those games.
Oh God!
What about Perfect Dark?
Oh, there's so many first-person
files.
As I said, the genre has been overly saturated. I think it's time to calm down on the first-person shooters, honestly, because I think there's just too many of them.
As long as EA exists, that's not going to happen.
Hey, quick question. Portal and Portal 2. Do those qualify as first-person shooters?
I would consider those public games.
Are you shooting anything in Portal?
I mean, it's a portal gun, and you're playing from a first-person perspective.
Yeah, but that's kind of like asking if Dishonored or Prey are first-person shooters.
Oh, Dishonored is totally not a first. That's third person. Now.
So, not to loop back or anything, but speaking of the, we were talking about the special ops games like Rainbow Six and Splinter Cell. Have any of you played the sniper games?
Oh, yes. Sniper Elite
that was
V2
a real
is my favorite.
It was a real challenge, but it was fucking good. And it was basically you played as like an actual fucking sniper. You had to pick off your targets and you had to sneak your way back out.
You had to use your environment to cover your shots.
Yeah, it was nice.
That was my favorite level of Sniper Elite V2, where you're infiltrating the Nazi compound during the thunderstorm, and you have to time your frickin' shots with the lightning strikes.
So that the enemy wouldn't know you were there.
All right, well, it's not a first person, but I got another versus for everybody, and it falls under the shooter category, even though it's third person. But SOCOM Navy SEALs.
Oh.
Okay.
Versus Conflict Desert Storm.
What about?
Ooh, I never really played SOCOM or Conflict Desert Storm.
I'm gonna say SOCOM because I never played Conflict Desert Storm.
It's literally the exact. Just you're in the army instead of the fucking Navy.
Oh, oh wow, we really dropped the ball in talking about the first-person shooters. Fucking Spec Ops: The Line. The first-person shooter that lulls you in for liking first-person shooters, then punches you in the face for liking first-person shooters.
That's all right. I'm gonna argue with you about the greatest shooter because Simpsons Doom is the greatest shooter of all time.
Oh. Control.
Oh, I could whip out the South Park game where you use a eggs at people.
Hey, classy gun.
Oh, man.
That's what makes it fun.
What would I say is my first-person shooter? That is a difficult question, though.
Oh yeah, you never answered what your favorite first-person shooter was, Anvil.
Yeah,
I don't know. Huh?
Counter-Strike.
Good one.
We talked about all these games, but we never talked about Counter-Strike. I remember there were so many nights I played with Korean homies. I played the Korean version, too.
Yeah, Counter-Strike was like the LAN party game for a little while there.
No, you know what?
Yeah.
How did mention this game once, and I think this is where we can end the episode on it too.
What?
Quite honestly, I mean, how can we all joked about like the greatest first-person shooter, but how can we even say the words greatest first-person shooter and not say the words
Oh no.
deny afterwards?
Fucking GoldenEye.
Oh, we forgot.
That's valid.
Oh, wait a minute. What about Turok?
What about Turok?
That was first person. That game was the shit. I don't care what anybody says. I love Turok.
I would classify Turok because it had a lot of melee as opposed to just shooter.
Again, that's like classifying like the Elder Scrolls game, first-person shooters, as long as you run around with the bow and arrow.
Right.
You in first person. That's all I got to say.